and welcome to Linear Talk. Today I'm joined by Jerry Lees, who is Chairman of Linear Investments. Jerry, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. We're going to have a little difficult times, and we're going to talk today about really where we were in 2020 and how you see the market moving forward in 2021. You have very wide experience of professional and institutional financial services markets, and I suppose 2021 must have been the most disruptive year to business you've ever seen.
Well, yes, it's been interestingly problematic, I suppose. And obviously, a lot of the social impacts and things we're all very aware of. But if you actually look at underlying markets from a broker's point of view, we're seeing a lot more volatility in the marketplace, which actually is in some cases helpful. We've seen a lot of progression despite the economic circumstances. So the outcome, I don't know, is necessarily all bad and all doom and gloom. I was talking to a client of mine in Australia this morning, in fact. I was evening for him. They basically saying the economy over there is booming at the moment, basically because the government's pumped quite a lot of cash into people's pockets, and they're all out there buying houses and doing the places up because they've got nothing else to do. So, you know, the reflection in different parts of the world is going to be quite different. And also, you've got the potential bounce back effect if vaccinations start to get out into the marketplace. You know, there's a mood in the world of people really wanting to just, they're so fed up with this, fed up with being stuck at home, that it could quite quickly bounce back in some directions. But a lot of traditional businesses, a lot of businesses that have depended on footfall and things, I don't think they'll ever come out of that mire. I think we'll just see a different world in terms of expectations of normality. From a point of view of what we're doing and where things are going, we're seeing a lot of new investment cash coming in, and people looking for safe havens for their investments, for their pensions, and so on. So obviously, there's quite a lot of activity there, and there's a lot of money looking for investment opportunities that could be seen to be rising out of the ashes of the phoenix, so to speak.
Okay, let me ask you about that, because it's imperative, I suppose, as we move forward through 2021, that the financial services sector learns how to do business differently in the medium, mid to long term. So if we take securing new investors as a starting point, those relationships are often built over a long period of time and often built face to face. So how do you envisage that firms can make the leap into this sort of hybrid work setting that we have now, or a remote work setting, and achieve the same results?
Yes, I mean, we still have this ongoing problem of people not being able to contact, and we still don't, even with vaccinations, don't know how long that's going to go on for. The all sorts of different predictions. So, yeah, people are getting used to using this type of format to meet and discuss a lot more, and people are much more relaxed about it. I don't think. I mean, I think if the economy and the market recovers back to sort of somewhere close to the old world, people will revert to getting back and doing face to face, but not on the same scale, I think. You take, for instance, what we've been doing with our business. You're actually operating from an office that's out in somewhere in darkest Kent, I believe, which used to be bad. So I mean, we moved out of entrenched London offices. We've downsized those offices quite significantly. We've put operations in place that are closer to people's homes, and we're expecting people to do a much more of a sharing process. And we're not going to go back to 150 trading desks that we had before all this happened. I think in our office in London, there's about 15 or so desks there, and there's about 15 or 20 where you are now. We're operating in another office out of the north of England. So you'll see people going into town when they need to go into town to meet up. But it's going to be a very different world if you think about it. A lot of places, a lot of businesses depend on people going into offices every day. Always think about all the food and beverage chains in big cities. They're all going to be having to really rethink their world. But from our perspective, from the financial services side, it's business as usual a lot of the time. We're dealing internationally anyway quite a lot of the time. So I can't be in Dubai because I have to be there to speak to someone on a Wednesday, and then as I was this morning at sort of 8 o'clock this morning, talking to a large family office down in Sydney. It's a world where we're used to dealing with in this context.
Yeah, and I wanted to also ask you about technology. Technology is something that you've always been at the cutting edge of, and I know that you come from a technology background yourself. So how do you think technology has influenced business, and how do you think it will continue to do so now that we are working in a hybrid environment?
Well, again, we've all seen the boom in these types of communications. It's funny, for instance, Linear was already set up pretty well to deal with this. I'm not saying we saw this coming. It's just that we'd already taken the view that all of our operational process, all our back office, all our technology process, were going to sit in the cloud. It was a private cloud because of security issues related to the regulations and so on. But so when this catastrophic situation occurred, it was very easy for us to automatically move around to work from home. I actually haven't changed any of my systems technology to work here. In fact, I'm working from my other home in Spain, which I can do as easily as I can do from my place in London or from the office. So we were already set up to perform in that sort of world. Our disaster recovery structures were set up so that people could always immediately go home and carry on working if the office sort of burnt down, for instance. But that technology has just become more streamlined. We've also seen a reduction in the potential cost of that because everyone's doing it now. There's a much more demand for it. You could say it could force the price up, but it's not. What it's doing is it's basically saying this is becoming the new norm, and a lot more people are coming into the whole spectrum of doing this. So we're looking at significant reductions in the cost of our day-to-day infrastructure costs and technologies to carry on doing this and maintaining this. We're moving even more of our technology into the cloud. So where we had workstations and servers in the office linked into our cloud functions, now they're completely remote. So I'm running from a laptop. I don't need a server anywhere. I can set this laptop and log in anywhere I want and go straight into the business farm. So that's pretty fundamental. All the other sides of our technology, we're looking at our connectivity all the time. We're operating now. We've created a new hub into Asia, so that we can actually handle traffic that we're getting from clients in Asia that want to go into the Asian markets. That doesn't have to come back via London or New York to go back there. It doesn't work properly. So there's a lot more of this, looking at this technology to disperse and manage how we run our businesses more effectively. We're just kind of get used to having conversations like this on various different video links.
Oh, for sure. For sure. One day we might end up in the same country again. You never know. Last question, just really, I suppose, personally, what lessons have you taken from 2020 that you want to move into 2021 with?
It's a difficult question. I suppose we've all had to get used to being, I suppose, able to look after our own time better. There's a lot more introspection, I suppose, that people have had to go through in terms of how they look at life and so on. So yes, I've spent more time reading and doing other things and looking after the other side of life a bit more than I perhaps was doing when I was commuting into London every day.
I don't
So
disagree. Yeah.
I think it's actually helped in terms of family and other connections in that sense, and hopefully it stays that way. But just on a purely physical basis, not commuting into London through the winter months meant I didn't get a cold all winter. Whereas tubes are terribly unhealthy places. So normally I'd had 3 or 4 colds by the time you get through to February, or January, or whatever. But there's another thought to take away.
Well, there's your upside. Jerry, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Always good to speak to you. Thanks.
Thank you.